G'day guys, Rich from Elite Tackle. So one of the most common questions that I ask on a regular basis is, what's the best way to rig my lure? Being my popper, my stick bait, my slow pitch jig, or my long drop jig. So you know what? I thought I'd put together a little video for you guys to see exactly how I rig these particular lures. In this next video, I'm going to run through with you some very popular rigging methods for all the different sorts of lures, poppers, stick baits and jigs that are not only used by many of my customers from all over the world, but also too could be the 1% difference that it can make for you to keep connected to that big trophy fish. Please enjoy. So guys, what I want to talk to you about here is rigging what I call slow pitch jigs, butterfly jig or flutter jig. It's kind of basically the same thing, but it's a jig that we commonly would more use for bottom species, also for your pelagics, but certainly very popular for like fish like snapper and red emperor and nanny guy and trout and pearlies and stuff like that. So this here is the Synotek sweeper jig. As you can see, it's quite thin profile and it's a very flutter, erratic style jig. Now, what I'm showing you here is, this is probably the most, if you want to call it authentic way to rig this as a slow pitch jig with the two twin assists of the jig on the top and bottom of the jig. The reason why it's a good way to put the two hooks, one each end, is because as that jig is fluttering, so you can imagine that jig goes like this and flutters and is wobbling around. As that jig comes up in the air, you can see this is the head of the jig, and these hooks will be great when the fish comes in there. But as the jig comes up here, now this becomes the top and head of the jig. So the fish comes in again at the top of the jig. You've got the other set of hooks there. So that is a reason why to use twin assists on either end of the jig. This one here is, again, is a slow pitch jig. It's the Synotek Nugget, and I've just rigged that with the twin assists at the top. I could put a set down the bottom, but I haven't in this instance. But you know what? That's just something I basically decide on the day. It might even come down to that. If I'm missing a few fish, I feel like I need to put a set of twin assists at the bottom. It just gives me another great option to try. Another thing to note about this rigging is that I have a swivel here attached to the split ring, and then the assist rig is attached to the split ring like that. Now the reason you don't have to have a swivel, but the reason why I have a swivel is because usually when I'm fishing, there's run or current and the boat is drifting with the current. I never ever anchor up when I jig. You'll get so few results doing that way. So I always drift, and therefore the jig often ends up way out the back of the boat, and then I wind it in quickly, and then I usually cast it above the front of the boat. When I'm winding the jig in, and I'm usually winding it in fast to do my next set of jigging and drop it down again, it'll cause the jig to spin. So therefore, if you didn't have a swivel, you might end up at the end of the day with a bit of line twist. It's just something to keep note. So that is a good way to do it. But also too, I could happily not have a swivel and just attach to the solid ring. It is very important to note that I would attach my leader to the solid ring there, through that part there, when I'm rigging up. If I didn't have a swivel like that, that is the correct way to do it. You wouldn't attach to the split ring and you wouldn't attach to the jig. But if I've got a swivel on there, I'm going to attach the leader obviously to the swivel as such, and that's how that would sit like that. So I'll just run through quickly how I'd rig up. So basically, how do I choose what size hooks and swivels and split rings? So for this case here, I've got a Sub-Zero Synotek 120 gram jig. So 100 to 150 gram jigs are probably the most popular size jigs that we use anywhere around Australia, many species are caught on that size jig. It just seems to be the right size jig for the depths we're fishing. From 40 to 80 meters is a popular depth, and so this weight jig is great. And so what I do is, Synotek here brought out the size 8.0, a 9.0 and a 10.0, and what I do is I look at the size of the jig with the hook, and and basically I do it by eye. And as you can see here, the width of the hook is fairly similar to the width of the jig where it sits. So I'd be happy to put that on there. The next size up is the 9.0. I think personally that's looking too big. So an 8.0 in this instance is the one I would use. Now the size of split ring. So again, I kind of match it up to what looks right to me. So in this case here, a size 6 split ring would be perfect in my opinion to match that up there. And then the size of swivel, I've got a size 3 swivel. Again, I think that would all marry up well. I usually do it by eye. So that to me is a good combination. And then simply I would add the split ring to the assist hook first, like such. Put it on here. And then what I would do is I would then add my my swivel. And then finally let that hang down like that. And then I bring the swivel, open it up to the jig. Doesn't matter which side you put on, as long as it's at the top of the jig. That to me is a perfectly rigged jig. You can see the hooks are sitting nicely. Come down to about midway of the jig. I like it. I don't like it too long personally, but that is personal preference. I think that there is sitting perfectly for maximum hookup rate. Now, if you want to add another set of twin assists, you would simply add a split ring and the assist down the bottom to create this situation as we see it here. Hope that helps, guys, to rig your jigs up correctly. There's certainly many ways you can do it, but I think that is probably one of the best ways to do it. Good luck out in the water. Hopefully you're getting the nibbles, and thanks for watching. Okay, so I hope you found this video interesting and maybe even informative. It might have even given you some tips and tricks to help you on your next fishing adventure. Please don't forget to subscribe to our Elite Tackle YouTube channel. So click on the subscribe button below this video so you don't miss out on all the hot tips and tricks and secrets and even great video footage that I'm sure will help you become a better sports fishing lure angler. Now it's up to you. You're going to watch the latest video we've just put together of some awesome action of GTs being hooked up in our local waters, or what about the trip we just did to Fiji chasing monster dogtooth tuna on jigs? Let me know by leaving a comment below. Thanks for watching.